Welcome back to the channel. In this video, this is an exercise in building without a plan. The first idea is the best idea, and whatever it is, we just go with it. So I'm working on a candle stand. I'm started with a block of cherry, and I'm just flattening out the bottom. And I can now use that as the reference surface for all my subsequent layouts. I've gone ahead and found center. I'm marking the positions for those candles. Then I'm just going to deepen the center marks with the spade drill that I'll be using just to make the subsequent operations a little bit easier. And now once that's done, it's off to the drill press and just drilling down to depth. And I've gone ahead and set up a stop to make sure that I don't go too far too quickly. And now I have to reset for the second cut because it's actually going to be a little bit deeper in the finished piece. And now it's off to the bandsaw to cut away everything that I don't need. And I really should have saved these offcuts. It would have made a subsequent step easier, but hey, you live and you learn. Back to the drill press, and I'm actually using a smaller diameter bit here to take these the rest of the way. The candles that I'll be using have a tapered end on them, and I found that making a bigger hole at the top and a smaller hole at the bottom allowed that taper to happen without me having to go in and do it all by hand. Now it's off to the sander just to remove those bandsaw marks. I'm kind of working on the back edge more because it allows me to follow that curve without accidentally adding a flat spot. Now I've gone ahead and added a few layout lines, and I'm going to work to those lines with a couple hand planes, and this is where having those offcuts would have come in handy. We made it a little bit easier to get everything clamped up, held securely. And so I have two planes I'm using. One is set up for a coarser cut, the other is set up for a fine cut. And that just allows me to kind of remove a bulk of the material quickly and then sneak up to those lines. And once the first side's done, I just flip it over and then do the other side, make it match. And this hand plane, I actually have a build video on that if you want to check that one out. I'll leave a link up in the upper right corner there. And for the back, I decided to round it over. So I'm starting with a spoke shave and slowly just make a pass at one angle and then tilt it a little bit, do the same, tilt a little bit more, do the same. And then I'm using a file here just to blend all of that out and make it nice and round. And for the front, it's the same idea, except I'm using a chisel here. I'm actually working in from both directions so I don't blow out the end grain. Chisels in the bevel down orientation, and then I can use it like a scoop to help follow that contour. And at this point, there's different surface finishes based on whichever tool I was using. So I'm using some fine grit paper to blend everything out and harmonize all of those surfaces. And I think I started at like 220 for this. I'm going to go ahead and work up to 400. So I'm going to apply an oil finish, and oil finishes and cherry tends to result in some blotching. And sanding finely, I have found, helps to minimize that blotch. If anything, it takes that blotch and sort of transforms it into some mild curling, at least to my eyes. When I got done, I should have went to 600. There's just one little spot that I think would have looked a lot nicer if it was 600 in the finished piece. But I think I'm the only one that's going to be able to tell. And so I'm using a tung oil finish that is basically an oil mixed with some amount of varnish and thinners. And compared to pure tung oil, it dries faster and it actually has more of a sheen to it. And then to finish it off, I'm using some homemade paste wax I've been experimenting with, and that's just going to take the final sheen up just a little bit. And at this point, I can call it done. And I've gone ahead, I'm using LED candles, so then I don't have to worry about any dripping wax. Thank you for tuning into this video. It was a fun project, doing this little candle holder, nice little exercising and building without overthinking stuff. And this one really was just whatever the first idea was, that was the right idea and just went with it. Nice little decor piece. We're going to set this up here on the window ledge we had finished in the last video. Before I let you go, if you want to help out the channel, there's two ways you can do it. The first is liking and subscribing and sharing. All that stuff helps get these videos in front of more eyeballs. The other way is through the website. I have handmade tools up there and plans, as well as some channel merch. So I've left a link in the description to my site. Currently it's going to redirect to Etsy because my site is undergoing a renovation of its own. But at any rate, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.